gusta la voz.
So right next to Newport, North Carolina is Fort Macon. Common tourist attraction. Fort Macon. M-A-C-O-N. We can go in there?
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
That's how you get down there. Is this little area that just went past between the trees.
Well, this is pretty cool. You can go down into the fort. You can actually go inside of the fort. Well, that is really cool. Wow, I think I'm feeling the purpose of this thing right here. The wind is just coming off the water right into this room.
Yeah.
So this room gets airflow. And this GoPro does a good job of picking up in the dark.
Yeah.
So before we came here, I was reading up a little bit on the history of Fort Macon. So during the 18th and 19th centuries, that's the 17 and 1800s, this area was very vulnerable to attacks and things like pirates. And the original construction actually began in 1756, and that's when it was known as Fort Dobbs. But Fort Dobbs was never finished, and the inlet remained undefended during the American Revolution. And then the War of 1812 demonstrated the weakness of existing coastal defenses and prompted the United States government into beginning the construction of an improved chain of coastal fortifications for national defense. So even though this specific fort was originally started in 1756, eventually it was developed in the 1800s because of the ongoing tensions between the US and Great Britain. And people were actively garrisoned here from 1834 on and off until 1849. And then in 1861, when the Civil War broke out, the Confederates were quick to seize this fort. Eventually in the Civil War, the Confederates were surrounded in this fort and had to surrender. And that actually was an instance in war history, one of the first instances that really proved that traditional fortification type defenses were really becoming obsolete due to the progression and development of the rifle cannons. Man, can you imagine firing this thing at ships coming in? Hold! Hold! Just firing 30-pound cannonballs. Fort Macon, and we're right next to Morehead City and Atlantic Beach. Atlantic Beach? Morehead City? and then you're eaten by a shark while you're trying to get air.
Drowning, getting beat by a shark.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like if you're able to get in this building,
But that is okay.
or you don't come back.
It's okay, I'm getting ideas. Check out this thing. This thing is pretty cool. A cistern. This cistern, built in 1897, collected and stored drinking water for one of Fort Macon's officer quarters, which stood here. Cisterns such as this have been used by coastal residents for years. Moisture and rain shed from the roof of the quarters through pipes into the cistern, where it could be retrieved with buckets or a hand pump. Looking northeast from Fort Macon in the late 1920s. And there is that cistern, I'm assuming, we were just looking at. And this is the cistern now. Very overgrown, not overgrown, just grown in. And they have a nice little pavilion here with some plaques where you can read about the history. A lot of the cannons were brought in by the Confederacy during the Civil War. And then it got overran and surrounded by the Union. And then after that, ongoing tensions with Britain, it was slowly developed. And then World War II happened. You know, we had to worry about the European theater crossing the Atlantic and possibly coming to the United States. And of course, North Carolina being on the East Coast, got to build defenses, right? So in 1942, the US military installed 155 millimeter guns, just massive cannons. A lot of the renovations and upgrades from even World War II have been eroded because of storms and hurricanes and such. So that was pretty cool, Fort Macon. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go inside the main area. We think it's because it's Sunday, but that's okay. It's still a great time. Still really interesting to read all the information that's available.